Hey, good day to you. This is Todd. I am a regular dude walking in the Word. Hey, we're in Numbers here, and in Numbers is a section where it talks about a man by the name of Balaam. And let me tell you, Balaam was so-called a prophet, but wow, he was it. I mean, he kind of followed the Lord a little bit, but then he really was trying to lead the people of Israel astray. Then later on in his life, and running against Israel. So it's not a person that you want to idolize, and as an example, it's someone that I want to teach on this because there's people like this in the church today, that they say, oh yeah, I love the Lord and everything. They're probably in ministry, okay? But they have you can see with Balaam, he also was serving the god of money, okay? Or you might say mammon. But he was serving money. And you'll see that played out in here in the first couple episodes that we talk about. And so, greed or money was playing into that. And so you'll find many people in ministry today are also plagued by that same worshiping that same God. All right. And then also they were, you'll see here, he's not a person you want to follow as an example. All right. So today it's taken from the first 12 verses of chapter 22. And it says, and the title is here, do not join up with evil. Because, you'll see here when we read it here. So this is taken Numbers 22, 1 through 12. All right? Let me get to there. Numbers 22, 1 through 12 says this: Then the Israelites traveled to the plains of Moab and camped along the Jordan across from Jericho. Now, keep in mind that the people of Israel are not perfect, okay? They do a lot of complaining and sinning, and God really has to punish them. But God is really kind of forming them into his chosen people. I mean, they were chosen people before this, all the way going back to Abraham. But he's molding these people, but they're human, and so that they are prone to sin, prone to wander. You remember that song, Prone to Wander? That's a line in the song. But so the people of Israel were not perfect, but they were chosen by God. They were chosen, and they were going to the promised land here. Verse 2, Now Balak, son of Zippor, saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites and Moab, was terrified because there were so many people. Indeed, Moab was filled with dread because of the Israelites. And you remember earlier on, we had talked about how Israel was just traveling along to the promised land, and on the way, these kings came out and attacked them, and so they defeated the kings and did that. And so the neighbors in the neighboring kingdoms there see what has happened, and now they're in fear, and Moab was one of them. Verse 4, The Moabites said to the elders of Midian, This horde is going to lick up everything around us as an ox licks up the grass of the field. Let me tell you, that verse is exactly right. What they were saying, they noticed this. They were saying they're going to lick up every piece of land around us, and that's exactly what God had called them to do. Take every piece of land around them, because God was going to judge the people of that land, and he was using Israel to do that. So that's a very true statement there that they were fearing. So Balak, son of Zippor, who was king of Moab at the time, sent messengers to summon Balaam, son of Beor, who was at Pethor, near the Euphrates River in his native land. Balak said, this is what he said, A people has come from Egypt. They cover the face of the land and have settled next to me. Now come and put a curse on these people, because they are too powerful for me. Perhaps then I will be able to defeat them and drive them out of the land. For I know that without that, whoever you bless is blessed, and whoever you curse is cursed. Okay? So apparently Balaam was kind of powerful. I don't know if he was really a prophet or more of a witch doctor, but anyway, he had a lot of influence there. Verse 7, The elders of Moab and Midian left, taking with them the fee for divination, When they came to Balaam, they told him what Balak had said. Notice they took along money because they got to pay this guy. All right. People, the prophets of God weren't like that. Like, pay your fee and then I'll give you the prophecy from God. And so verse 8 says this: "Spend the night here," Balaam said to them, "and I will report back to you with the answer the Lord gives me." So the Moabite officials stayed with him. Okay, this is the first thing here. That's why I have the title, "Do Not Join Up with Evil." Balaam should have known by now that these were God's chosen people. Okay, and should have sent these guys right away and said, I'm not cursing God's chosen people if he was really a prophet of God. Okay, but he doesn't. He says to these officials of Moab, "Hey, come on, spend the night here, and then I'll see what the Lord says." Okay, so he's inviting them to stay the night. That's why it's don't join up with evil. Balaam is essentially doing that. He's inviting them into the house, which it was a huge deal back then. All right, if you invited someone into the house, it was, you were like good friends. All right, there was a whole thing of hospitality there, but you were supposed to take care of people. But it was, these guys are strangers, and he's inviting them in. Oh yeah, come spend the night. So the Moabite officials stayed with him. Verse 9, God came to Balaam and asked, "Who are these men with you?" And Balaam said to God, "Balak, son of Zippor, king of the Moab, sent me this message. A people that has come out of the Egypt covers the face of the land. Now come and put a curse on them for me. Perhaps then I will be able to fight them, and drive them away." Verse 12, this is important here. But God said to Balaam, "Do not go with them. You must not put a curse on those people, because they are blessed." That should have ended the whole thing right there, but you're going to see this story goes on and on for quite a while here, because Balaam does not do that. All right. At this point, Balaam should have said, "Nope, we're done here. You can go on your way. I'm not putting a curse on those people." But you can see he's wishy-washy, and so you're going to see this a whole story develops. But the story would have been much shorter if he just wouldn't have joined up with evil. All right, and it's the same way in our lives. There can be a whole lot less heartache if we don't join up with evil in the first place. Okay, there's the whole thing of being unequally yoked, and if you're unequally yoked, not only in marriage but in your business relationships and stuff like that, if you're and I'm talking like partnerships with that, when you do that, you're not following God, and God had a lot of wisdom when he said do not be unequally yoked here, because you're joining up with evil, and you have the mindset of Christ and they have the mindset of the devil, or of themselves, the flesh, and so those two don't jive. Those two don't go together. It's like those I remember back, I don't know, in the 70s or whatever, you had those two dogs or sheep or whatever they were magnetic, and you put them together and they wouldn't go together. They wouldn't go together unless it was a certain way. And it's like that. You try and put the good against with the evil, it's not going to work. Okay, and so don't be unequally yoked with an unbeliever. It doesn't work. All right, so don't join up with evil. That's the thing. That's the first thing we're going to learn from the story of Balaam here. Hey, thanks for watching. I'm just a regular dude walking in the Word, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow as we continue our journey looking at the story of Balaam in Numbers. Lord's blessing. I'll see you then.